some poems that I wrote in 2019. They're going to be published in a manuscript called A Miss, and all of the poems are about women who were either murdered or who went missing. And basically this kind of became an obsession of mine in 2019, the summer of 2019. And the first woman, the manuscript is going to come out sometime next year, but the first woman who I learned about was a woman named Linda O'Neill. And in 1971, we would have been about the same age. She was young when she got murdered, and her killer was found like 50 years after the murder. And so that is kind of what prompted this and kind of what started it. And I love this arrangement because I don't need my glasses. I can kind of see. So this is called When We Wore Ponchos. The missing girl, hair parted to the side, photographed in her poncho, similar to the one I wore and loved, a little furry and looking like it held a fire long since ignited, fringed in red and orange notions, trim threads and acute points grazing knees, fingers. Hers was more patriotic, navy fleece with blurry white stars, without fringe, fraying, then ripping from the man, from the shove, struggle, and strangulation by a man who left her, ditch down, standing water, mud, and gravel on the horrid earth in clumps around her poncho, soiling those stars and torso, hands, limbs, mornings and afternoons. My mother, quick with warnings. Each time I wish she would stop about not stopping. For anyone offering glimpses of newly found puppies or needing directions to the lakes and lagoons where the jasmine grew pervasive, gnarled around limbs and stumps. Her tone underscored, oddly italicized. I knew, and tried my very best to heed, to come straight home. So did that girl whose poncho could not insulate her from harm. So I suppose these poems, in addition to being about these women, they're also kind of narrative vignettes. And I would also say that each of them probably kind of focuses a little bit on the geography of the country. So this is called E&L, a dyad. Sometimes there isn't safety in numbers, be they odd or even. Seldom divided, you were once the totality of the easiest addition on either side of an ampersand. And together, both of you were synonymous with paired, and from paired, pluralized. You always traveled together. Neither of you saw the vehicle on the dirt road, white, hardly pearlescent, more like a cloud filling with rain. The corn and soy fields flat and full, crows appearing as checks, onyx completions, outstretched above stalks, on your way to that trail and the order of angels, only recently learned. Were you listing the hierarchies, then later enlisting them, all of them, in that last hour to come to your aid? Transylvanian hills, Kentucky. Pure felt and velvet, you left the pillbox hat, your favorite, on the highest shelf for special occasions, like the derby, the aqua netting similar to sea spray, touched just beneath your eyes, whenever you wore it to church, to weddings, which weren't that night. The hills, bluer than ever imagined, soggy still emerging from the mist, when you were found. 2 keys on the ring connected like details. A silent engine stopped completely. Your bra removed. The triptych of hooks, free, unclasped, bent wire crescents, cups scalloped and empty, beige lace upturned, catching the windswept, broken twigs and leaves. Landlocked near the Four Corners. With her mermaid made from oyster pearl iridescent mane, her family saw her less and less. They worried about her obscurity, no sing-song salutations any longer or solicitations to try something new. Hallucinations, face turned into a liquidity of deep puddles. Lines, grimaces appeared as ripples, her small homage to an ocean, never visited, only imagined with its perfect litany of blues. A repetitive alliterative lull from azure to topaz that marked each hour. Where were the fish, the beauty of plankton, floating like baubles? These were the manifestations of the brain bleeds, the little tributaries, countless capillaries bursting within the lobes after she was beaten to bear internal and external bruising. Skin sharing the same pallor as any storm approaching. Only 12 miles from home, speculation that she got picked up in the desert by a tide of empty ocean promises, followed by a sinking certainty. She was driven in the direction of what always goes wrong. No scarcity of scars or history. My question never turns rhetorical. Tragedy and triumph live behind those scars. Does she? Does she? Poetic description gives specificity. The silver dollar-sized dollar atop the left knee from a fall coming after the dare, smaller than a pebble on each temple. White as moonstones, marks left by forces, pulling her through me, her first day here. 40 birthdays, 4 decades of them have passed since we've seen her. Our belief, despite the seizures, the strange foretelling scent of citrus at the onset. Scarred and scared, she has found a way to survive, dreaming of blonde bricks and gasoline. This is about a woman who was murdered in Hawaii. Jigsaw. I know the red pagoda, looking like a bridge, caught her attention. The way it spanned over staid placidity, metallic scales, flashes of poi, always moving at the pace of a grin. Maybe she thought of matrimony, vows she wanted to speak on this island, papaya and banyan trees in the distance, where the sun turned everything white, nearly blanched, dazzling, where sugar became a memory, and where someone had the idea to make her elusive, as the rainbows sometimes seem over the falls, the heart-shaped cascades forever succumbing to the river. Unlike those bands of color, she has yet to reappear. These are 2 poems, 2 that aren't unstoppable. O city of cypresses, live oaks, closely suffocated by ferns around limbs that resurrect after each rain, and jasmine star-flecked and beaded, particular to night, the serious flower which blooms solitary, the size of a grenade, for only one evening. Those and these storms, always a fetus before infancy. A similar ultrasound image inside you, once fist-sized, first pebble-shaped heart within the womb, a dark ocean empty of islands and archipelagos. This bold body, cerulean sea form, indigo, aquamarine, in search of continents, to touch scalloped coasts and steep-shouldered cliffs, to toss itself, to hurl and withdraw from the unrelenting business of tides and ebbs. The moon, always operative without whims, no deviation. An ocean like a womb provides habitation for Genesis, and the preemptive counterclockwise spin, a reversal of hours, the gaining momentum, gathering winds, torrents, and squalls, the shared impacts of landfalls and births. And then this is my last poem. I'll just say that right before the Sandy Hook
Closer to the mic, please.
I'll just say this is my last poem, and my mother passed away right before the Sandy Hook shootings, and I think about her, and kind of that was like the last thing that she was cognizant of when that happened, and so more shootings and more memories of my mother, and I guess that's what this is about. It's called My Mother and Mass Shootings. The house smelled like cinnamon and pine. My mother served egg salad, toast, and olives, the oily, slightly shriveled black ones I liked for lunch. We mulled, commiserated, wept about the children gunned down as angels shimmered in December on her tree, all of them gold and glittering, seraphs in suspension. Needled evergreen branches strung with white lights. The small fir garnished a swirl of snowflake garland as she mused about Christmas and Hanukkah and Kwanzaa, dreaded by families whose children did not return home. I look for angels. The air is almost burdened with scents of lingering orange blossoms, both ligustrum and jasmine constellating along fences and walls. I am not at her house to eat egg salad and olives on sourdough toast. 10 years later, I cannot visit for lunch, nor can we confer and give comfort this time on the cusp of another season once anticipated by those we love. Thank you.